There you go. Okay, thanks for coming. I'll call the meeting to order. And as always, we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. It was good to see some folks last night at the Rainy Town Common for the flag retirement ceremony. I got in the car and started driving and realized that I neglected to take any pictures at all. I will blame the inestimable Tom Collins for that because he was talking to me almost the entire time. But I did see that Christy posted a video right after I got home, so I certainly appreciate that.
Absolutely.
And the Boy Scouts posted some content again today, so certainly appreciate those that could make it. It was a little touch and go because it was raining right up until almost game time. So with that, Rob sent out the meeting minutes for the May 21st, the May 2021 meeting. I hope that you had an opportunity to review them. Does anyone have any questions, concerns, comments about the minutes as written?
No.
Hearing none, I will make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
So moved.
And Marion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, hearing none, motion carries. Thank you very much. We'll segue right into the VSO report. David?
Okay, good evening, everybody, and this is the VSO report for June 15th, 2021. The Wakefield Food Bank is tomorrow and Wednesday, June 16th. That's the date of it. Wakefield Food Pantry has once again donated dry goods to go along with the Boston Food Bank donations. And the Senior Center has offered to donate a bag of various items that were collected and given to the Senior Center, including little flashlights, bottle openers, things like that, in a separate bag. It's really nice. We currently have 19 veteran families receiving the services from the program. I called them all today to remind them because they tend to forget. And I end up with a Jeep full of goodies that I have to bring to the Market Basket Food Pantry program. Anyhow, they're all going to be there tomorrow, hopefully. We also have the Chapter 115 benefits program that is run by the Massachusetts Department of Veteran Services, or the DVS. It's in partnership with local veteran service offices. The program provides financial aid for food, shelter, housing, clothing, and medical care for veterans and their dependents who have limited incomes. The website for the further information will be so noted. It's masslegalhelp.org/disability/state-veterans-115. On the Chapter 115 program in Wakefield, we have 14 member families utilizing these services. And if you know of any veterans or veteran spouse who may require our services, please let them know of the program. And as always, I like to mention aid and attendance. I've been getting at least 3 or 4 calls a month now on this program where people have been either passing or weren't aware of the program and how it existed. Aid and attendance is for wartime veterans and their surviving spouses, 65 years and older, who may be entitled to a tax-free benefit provided by the Department of Veterans Affairs. The benefit is designed to provide financial aid to help offset the cost of long-term health care for those who need assistance with the daily activities of living, such as bathing, dressing, eating, toileting, and transferring. Please contact my office for additional information. Memorial Day went very well. The wreath laying and the flagging at the cemeteries, along with the ceremony on the common, was well received by the community. I got a lot of thank yous on that to my office, voicemails and such. We gave out a Medal of Liberty, which was awarded to the Scott family, recognizing Gerald Scott and his sacrifice during the Korean War. 2 more Korean Ambassador for Peace medals have been applied for by the family of Darlene and Raymond Best, whose father, Sergeant Anthony Botticelli, and uncle, PFC Raymond Lapika, both served in Korea during the Korean War. They had no idea this medal was even available. Posthumously, I'm going to have it sent to them. And well, they're in New Hampshire, by the way. New Hampshire is calling the Wakefield VSO for help. That's kind of scary, but you know what? It's a big place. So let them call, let them keep coming. Remember, many veterans are still fighting battles from many fronts, from memories of combat to situations here at home. There is help available for them with the Department of Veterans Affairs. Please contact the Veterans Service Office here in Wakefield, 781-246-6377. And the hotline for quick response under conditions beyond our control is the suicide prevention hotline. Everyone should have this in their phone, 1-800-273-8255. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, David. Any questions about the report? And again, as we move forward, we'll drill down into some of these programs so that everyone has a little bit more info in their tool bag, just in case anyone asks you any questions. Not hearing none, I'll make a motion to accept the report as written. Have a second?
Second. Aye.
Melinda, thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Thank you very much. The Veterans Corner article, Jackie had spoken about doing an article in referring to women's veterans. I haven't seen anything, and she doesn't seem to be with us tonight. So with your permission, we'll continue to move on just in case she signs in later. Anything quickly on the Veterans Discount Program? Any updates?
Christy and I were talking about this earlier this evening, and we're kind of leaving it out there right now, and hoping that if anyone in our board should see a location in the town that maybe doesn't have the discount program, or if we each and every one of us ask, do you have veteran discounts when you're in an establishment? And if they say no, they can always say, well, if you're interested, here's who you should call. But it's simple. If the 9 of us right now that are here were to say twice or 3 times in a month's time, that's 27 more people we would have hit. So we've got the foundation built, Christy and I. We're gonna go back to it even further in September probably, but it is summertime, and we're gonna let this thing kind of settle down a bit. So
This
we currently
may
have
actually,
58, I think, or 68. Go ahead, Christy. I'm sorry.
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I thought you were done. Go ahead, finish.
No, I'm fine. That's good.
Okay, so my friend, I don't know if you guys know Joe Sullivan from Wakefield. His son, Mark and Brian, both are vets, and Mark has been living in Florida for quite some time, and he is not a Facebook person, but his father, Joe, is, and they saw all our stuff for Memorial Day and sent it down to him, and he contacted me last week and said, I am so entrenched with the veterans down here in Florida. I did not know that you were so involved. Over the next couple of weeks, after the kids get out of school and whatnot, let's kind of reconnect to see how maybe something we're doing up here can help down there, or even our ideas can interchange, which I thought was fantastic because he's got a lot of following down there. So even if we brought the discount down program down to Florida and I sent them down decals, or they ordered decals, you know what I'm saying? Just, I know you were talking about making this more nationwide, but it's a step.
Yeah, the commander of my VFW went to the conference over the weekend. I think it was in Missouri, and he brought the information to the VFW National. And I don't know where it's going to go from there. We'll just stay tuned. If I start getting contacts, I'll let people know.
It's awesome.
Well, I don't think veterans discount programs are an anomaly.
No, they're not.
And I think it's certainly time for us to consider putting something in the paper about it.
Absolutely.
raising the consciousness to people throughout the country. I mean, they've been out there for a while, but people really don't realize just how effectively, especially after the pandemic, how it can enhance their business by people seeing the gratitude that a business establishment is doing for the veterans. So,
Agreed. So,
yeah,
put some thought behind, a write-up in the paper about the program.
okay,
Because,
will do.
whether we, provide a list of participating accounts, whatever have you. I think I saw the one at Smith Drug, when I was in there. Walked by, Anthony's Pizza,
Yep.
Dave, which you've talked about a lot. I wasn't inspecting the property, but I didn't see a sticker.
I gave him a sticker about 3 weeks ago, along with all the information, and he was going to be putting it up, but he's so short-staffed there, Jay. He's cooking pizza. That's Carlos. He's the manager, and he's either at the bar or he's at the grill with an apron on. So I'm not going to slight him on it. I'll bring it to his attention next time I see him.
What's it take to stick a sticker on the
I was just
window?
gonna say, I'll sneak
I'll
by
do
and
it
stick it on
for
his
him.
window.
I'll do it for him. I know. I'll do it for him. That's what I'll do when I see him next time.
Just stick it on the window. Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, because I think that, you guys have done awesome work getting businesses to sign up. It's time that we promote it in the local media.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. As Dave mentioned, we've gotten a lot of good feedback on the Memorial Day program, a lot of good feedback, especially on the reading of the names, which a lot of folks thought was really powerful. Maybe it's not something we do at every program, but certainly it's something we should do periodically. Or, one of the things that we talked about years ago was, running veteran stories periodically in the paper. There was an article in the paper written about tree number 9. That's part of the Memorial Day ceremony at the West Side Social Club, written by, Carol
Carol
Hubbard.
Hubbard, yep.
And I actually walked over to the cemetery in Linfield today and found the headstone of her veteran and the veteran's dad. So there are, 100 stories, like 1,000 stories like that, probably. And, if you, go down and just take a few minutes and look at the names on the World War II memorial of those who served, there are, Tom Collins told me last night that, 5 of his brothers are on that memorial as having served. But there are some names that there's like a dozen of them, maybe they're cousins, whatever have you. And a lot of them, when you look back in the 1940s, somebody was saying last night that the population of Wakefield was probably half of what it is right now. And he told me what the number of veterans that served, say 2,000. I'm kind of making that up, but it sounds directionally correct. 2,000 people from Wakefield served during World War II. And that might have been like 20% of the population back then. And, there are 40 or so guys that passed during World War II, but there are just hundreds of stories tied to all of those names on the memorials around town. So I think it's, something we need to continue to beat on so that, we can continue to raise the bar. Cause I think, Wakefield has a pretty good appreciation for its veterans. And, that's something that I think this board can certainly continue to do.
Did we ever find out how many veterans we have in the town? Is there a way of knowing? I know on the census, they put veteran status.
Yeah, I did ask. I honestly don't remember when I asked. I may have asked before the census, And we just did the census again, when, in April, or we can probably ask the town clerk for another readout from the census. And again, it's probably directionally correct, but it's also self-declaration. So I wouldn't bet anyone's money that it's 100% correct. And all it says is veteran. That's it.
Yeah.
Doesn't give branch of service. You can kind of back into some timeframes, but so I was able to get that
There'll be a
before.
plus or minus in there for sure, yeah.
Yeah, I'll take a note to look to see when I got it and what it looks like.
I had a veteran of the office today, a lifelong member of Wakefield, 25 years in the military, Navy, and then Hanscom Field on PB3s, I guess, a mechanic. And he stopped in the office just to introduce himself and put his name on the list of veterans in the town. And that's when he asked me if he could be put on the list. I said, "Did you do your census this year?" He said, "Yes." Did you check off veteran? He said, "Yes." You're on the list. My job's
That's
done
right.
here. So
Yeah.
anyhow,
Yeah, and unfortunately I've asked for this a number of times over the years. There's like the Department of Veteran Services can't give you a data dump
right.
that shows you all of your veterans in town and, dates of service, et cetera, et cetera. So, we just need to keep banging the drum. And with that in mind, Dan's not on. I got some feedback from Mr. Mayo on the Veterans Field naming, the Veterans Field project that Dan brought forth. He's all for it. We'll have to have a series of meetings with, DPW, Mr. Mayo, et cetera. I would bet a nickel that it's going to have to go before town council at some point. But, one of the first steps, I think, is to bring forth some conceptual drawings, which Dan has presented in the past. And, it's probably not a bad idea to put together a little subcommittee from this group to work on that. I assume that Dan, and it doesn't have to be a big group because, I don't see a lot of heavy lifting. At the risk of speaking for him, I would assume that Dan would want to be on the team because he brought it forward, but we'll have to confirm that. So, I would think that lends itself to something that could be done in conjunction with Veterans Day. So, I don't think that we can afford to wait too long to start putting pen to paper and getting some concepts done. So I don't know how long it takes to get signage together, but September, October, November, that waiting till our first meeting in September, because as you may recall, we won't be meeting in July or August unless the board wants to meet during that time. I think holding it until September seems a little danger close to me. So I think we should start some work on it over the summer. So if you're interested in, being on the group, I'll follow up with Dan to see if he wants to head it up. So we may need a body or two to sit on that. Okay, so if you're interested, just let me know.
Interested.
As long as I'm here, I'll help out.
Okay. So Joe, Mary, and Christy?
Yep.
Today. Okay, thank you. And then continuing on to the Main Street banners. I asked if we need to have a meeting with town council, et cetera, to move forward with the project. He doesn't think so. He thinks that we as a board should push on with this and recruit more veterans, like Dave, for instance, the gentleman that was in your office today. So just a thought while sitting here, we could put something together for, around July 4th, announce that we intend to expand the banner project to include not only those who have fallen, but others who have served. I don't know if, we should consider putting in ground rules. For instance, does Wakefield need to be your home of record when you enlisted in the service,
Yes.
as seems to be the inclusion criteria for the placement on some of the memorials that I'm familiar with. Do we just want to open it to any and all comers? Do they need to have veteran status? So that would, may potentially eliminate those whose service might have been limited to National Guard or reserves without an attendant activation under federal orders. Or do we just want to say, send me any and all, and we comb through them, and maybe we have the luxury of getting too many. Maybe that's a little naive, but maybe we just open it to any and all comers, have them send their information to the VSO's office, and then at some point, maybe in September, we start combing through them and see if we have enough to expand the banner project, because that didn't take all that long.
I could compile a database, Jay,
Yeah,
just for that specific reason. As long as we get a note out to the community that that's what we'll be doing, and they can call me and I'll just start the database.
So now, Jay, the Main Street banners that were taking up some of the space that we were taking, now that is our stuff going to stay permanently throughout the year? And they're just
No.
gonna, okay.
no, I think,
So we have a time frame.
it went up from Memorial Day to like the end of May. Then they put up the high school kids.
Yep, and then are we going back
Then,
up?
then, Shop Wakefield will probably go up. Then 4th of July banners may go up.
Okay,
I think whether it's Wakefield, Main Street, some members of the town council, et cetera, would like to have, an ongoing and, a rotation, if you will, that kind of keeps it fresh and keeps it vibrant.
Maybe the month of November or something for the.
Yeah,
for the meetings.
yeah. So, with that goal in mind, announce something around 4th of July, which is certainly a patriotic time of year, and say, open to any and all comers, send us photos, send us bios. I guess we could ask for DD 214s, but I'm not sure that that's required. We could.
We could start out with we hope you enjoyed the wonderful banners that were encompassed in the town. And how would you like to have a family veteran on those banners? Something like that.
Yeah, there are towns that I'm aware of that actually sought donations from family members. If you've got a family member that you want to put on a banner, it's going to cost you $100, or whatever the number is, to offset the cost. I don't know if we want to consider that. Certainly not something that I brought up to the powers that be. We certainly could.
I think similar to the pavers. I mean, to have your name on a paver, it's, what was it, $200 for one of the small ones, $500 for the big one. I think it's on the same lines.
Yeah.
Paver, yeah.
Yeah.
It's honoring that individual, sure.
Yeah, and, one of the things that we could do is, the ones that I'm familiar with, I've seen one in Haverhill. Haverhill has, let's call it the Exchange Club. I may be making that up, but I think it's accurate. That seems to be very, very active up in that area and inclusive of veterans activities. And they were one of the sponsoring organizations behind the banner projects. So if, for instance, if a family wants to put their loved one on a banner, it costs X and that offsets the cost. I don't know, but also think each banner had the Exchange Club name on it too, but I'll verify that. So the Exchange Club was also getting some publicity as the sponsor of the project. And I just had that big bang that you just heard was a thought that I had. David, we need to put together a thank you note for Beth Goodchild for the wreaths.
Yes.
Well, let's put it together. You'll sign it, I'll sign it. Christy, if you could just send me either her home address or the business address,
Got it.
we'll get that put together before I forget it again.
Doing it right
um,
now.
So if you want, I can reach out to Mr. Mayo again to see if there's any appetite for charging to sponsor a banner, or if he just wants to, push forward with it. Cost was never raised during the Memorial Day event. Never came up.
I
So
wouldn't,
he found the free cash somewhere.
It's $200 in Haverhill.
200
Haverhill.
bucks.
Yeah.
Do I have it right? It's the Exchange Club or something like that?
Yeah. It's a military tribute banner. Then they keep it.
Yeah.
There's a limit of 80 banners available for 2021.
who keeps it? The person who bought it gets it at the end?
Uh-huh. The banners are yours afterwards as a wonderful keepsake and as a thank you from the Exchange Club of Haverhill. Haverhill. I say it wrong, sorry. Wasn't raised here.
Where are you talking? Huh?
My friends make fun of me all the time. I'm like, oh, Haverhill.
There you go.
I think that's what
that
I'm
a-
talking
For a
about.
second.
MEFA.
Is if you're gonna pay for it, like with the pavers, there's a sense of permanence, right, that you're paying for.
Right.
Presumably, there is no permanence with this,
It
which is
could be.
two things. One is, if this, because it's not permanent, we should be more inclusive, right? This isn't like a forever decision that we're making about putting somebody in granite.
Yeah.
But also, if it isn't permanent, do they get the banner at the end? But we have double-sided banners. Are they semi-permanent, meaning every time, every November, if you've bought one in the past, it'll go back up? I mean, those are the kind of questions I would have.
It's a
Okay.
6-month display there from Memorial Day through Veterans Day.
Perfect.
We won't get that here, I guess, but
Yeah.
Jay, well, I'm thinking of it too, that noise I heard on Beth Goodchild's letter. The donation that she made to us to keep the costs down, that would be good for her for tax purposes too, I believe. So we want to put the price on that, I think, too. The differential of what it cost us versus what she did.
Yeah, we know, based on some messages that she sent, what the cost was and what she was willing to offset as a
Right.
donation. We could certainly put that in the letter.
and what she really needs is any kind of free advertising she can get
Yes,
out of it, because help her
absolutely.
business. So Christy and I
Absolutely.
were both tagging her in the different pictures of the wreaths, and so
Yep.
anything you guys can think of, she would appreciate.
That's why she did what she did. Yep, absolutely.
Plus her love of
You know,
veterans.
and while
And
I'm
her
think-
love of veterans. Yes, of course. Of course.
While I'm thinking about it, I'm probably going to go around and retrieve all the wreaths, other than the artificial red, white, and blue, whatever you call them. All the natural foliage has turned brown and wilting and stuff like that. So I'll probably retrieve them over the weekend. And
Let me know when you're
Um,
going. If I'm around, I'll help you.
Yeah, I could just have a spur of the moment thought, thank
Okay.
you, and go get a cup of coffee and drive around town.
Okay.
I've
But
got
Brothers
another.
has a 10% discount for you on your coffee.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Forest Glade is right around the corner, and yeah, the stuff is pretty easily managed. Thank you. So I'll do that. So I'll reach out to Mr. Mayo again, ask him if there's any appetite for sponsoring the whether he views this as a one-time for Veterans Day, or we run these banners annually, whether he has any appetite for soliciting donations from families. They create the banner for their loved one and they end up with the banner at the end. We used to have a welcome home banner that was on the AmeriCal Civic Center. The veterans would get their little sign after it was done, but unlike the one that's in Melrose that's on the lawn of City Hall, unless you knew that banner was on the balcony of the Civic Center, you'd have to be looking for it. So if you see it, you're probably not paying attention, you're driving, I'm gonna kill someone as you go by the Galvin Middle School. So, maybe someday we could have, maybe more of a welcome home banner similar to the one that's on Melrose City Hall, because that's up year round. It's well known, so they seem to get a lot of input from the community and then create those signs, and they go up. So there's nothing to say that we can't do that also, and put something like that on the lawn of Town Hall.
They'll probably
And
make
that's
us put it in our parking lot, in our parking space.
Speaking of the parking space, that's next on the agenda.
Jay, just real
Yes.
quick, the banners in Haverhill are through this military tribute banners program, so it's nationwide. There's a bunch of different places, tons of states participate. It takes all the logistical stuff out except for the actual hanging. So I'll send a link out just so we can look at it, because it's kind of easy. If we wanted to participate, everything would be set up. They actually send you a free sample banner and print it, and you can get mini prints if you want. It's kind of a nice package deal.
I'm all about easy. So I mean, if they're doing it and they do it well, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. Other than the fact that those funds are leaving town, if you know what I mean. There's certainly some desire to keep funds in the community, but I'm absolutely all for investigating it. And maybe we can kind of exploit some of the things that they do, and do, just to be fair, do some cost analysis, just like we did on the REITs. And, I had another thought, another big bang, for, we're going to do another wreath at the World War II Memorial for Veterans Day. Certainly go out to quote again. We can, I didn't even think of them before, but we can include Sweet Bay, who are down opposite the Civic Center. They did a fantastic job for us.
They're
So,
awesome.
we could certainly throw the Highlands some business also. Okay. So I'll follow up with Mr. Mayo on that. Melinda, if you could just forward the information to the group, that would be awesome.
Yep.
And then, we can always putter with things throughout the summer. It's exchanging emails, etc. But if we're conducting business, we just need to make sure that we include that Veterans Advisory Board email address and the guise of, open meetings, etc. Especially if we're making a decision. Speaking of that, while I'm thinking about it, there's a good possibility, from what I understand, that we'll be actually meeting in person come September. You know, folks were saying last night that very few of us have actually ever met in person since we've been together as a board. So, you know, we could certainly have a cookout at my house over the summer. That's
Or a pizza party, whatever. Anthony's
yeah,
coal-fired pizza.
from Anthony's coal-fired pizza. Yeah.
I like Jay's
Absolutely.
invitation better.
Yeah, well, we can buy it there and bring it to Jay's.
There you go.
It's only one exit down the highway from our house. So, you know, speaking of the veterans parking spot, it's there. It's been publicized. If you saw a
Yep.
picture of Mr. Baird and Dan Benjamin on the front page of the item, you know, sales pitch, you know, if you don't get the item, you know, it's worth $3 or $4 a week. It's the only way you know what's going on in town with, you know, right, wrong, or indifferent. It's the only way you know what's going on in town. You know, and they have been extremely supportive of anything that we've tried to do. You know, we sent them stuff about the VAB meeting and Flag Day Monday morning, and it was in the paper that night. You know, we've got a little in there with Brian, so he knows how to talk print speak to them. So that's been very, very helpful.
It actually ended up in another edition too, where it was just a picture of the spot itself with the stars painted on the ground in front of it. It was towards the back of one of the papers the next day, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, that was, you know, that was kind of easy peasy. You know, it was, you know, just had to throw it out there. It's in the Brave Act. You should do it. Boom, done. You know, so.
Now you got to expand the program, Jay.
Yeah. Well, you know, the Brave Act, you know, we talked about once about putting them down at the North Ave Diner and, you know, Harrington's and stuff like that. The Brave Act specifies town and city hall. So you can't have veterans parking spots all over town. You can, but and I actually parked at Melrose City Hall in their spot last Thursday, and I guess I was the first person to actually do so. Because if you do park there, you run the risk of the bushes next to it scratching your car to pieces. So maybe that's why nobody parks there.
Right.
So any other business?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
What about the coffee social, bringing that back in the fall?
Yeah, let's put that on the agenda for September.
Okay.
You know, right, wrong, or indifferent, they've failed miserably in Wakefield historically.
But now it's different times.
You know, certainly different times.
Yeah.
We had some very motivated people. The Quannapowitt Yacht Club was very supportive of, you know, in offering a space. You know, we just need to find a way to get, you know, more people in the door, so that we're, you know, 6 of us just aren't standing around eating donuts.
But part of that, Jay, which is, you're right, they were weird, right? I went to the last couple of 3 that we did. But part of it is because there's just a few people standing in a big room. But if just the board shows up, we're going to be 10 people or whatever now. It's automatically going to be a more full room and maybe a more welcoming environment if we all show up.
Yeah.
If
You know,
we each
and
bring one
one of the
veteran,
things, I'm sorry, go ahead, Dave.
if we each bring one veteran with us.
Well,
I
and
can
you know,
do
one of
that.
the things we could always do is try to bring in some like guest speakers. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You know, we could highlight, somebody's going to speak about VA mortgages or Chapter 115 or aid in attendance or VA or service connected disabilities. You know, I'm not sure we want to get into correcting bad paper as far as discharges go, because that's an ugly thing, but you know, we could certainly talk about it. So I think if we try to do it, you know, and publicize it, I think we did the last time, but maybe have a guest speaker. You know, even if it's just one of us speaking about a given topic, or Dave can talk about the train club down at underneath the Brothers Deli, whatever it is.
But also even hosting like some fundraisers and having like fishing derbies and just kind of different stuff to kind of put on the board. I have no, like I said, Bonnie, as you know, I know her personally, so I can reach out to her now and say, hey, we have some ideas coming in the fall, coming September, kind of find out where they're at with the yacht club. But it's a
You know,
perfect location.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, great on, a morning that normally they wouldn't be open.
Yep.
If we can just sit around there for a couple of hours, you mentioned a fishing derby. There's a gentleman that I know from Wakefield who is involved with Project Healing Waters, where they do fly fishing for
Okay.
veterans as like a therapeutic thing.
Yep.
I'm sure I would bet that he'd love to come and talk about it.
There's a lot of people that I see on the Veterans Collaborative twice a month too, that are from all different areas. Dave probably knows who some of them are, that I'll bet we could get to come and speak.
Yeah.
I think
And
it's
they-
different. I think it's a different ball game this year.
Yeah, there's all
Give
different.
folks more of a reason to come.
Yes.
Yes, and
Make-
all of
make
them delve with the veterans. They deal with various areas for the veterans, so.
Yeah. So
Okay.
Christy, if you wouldn't mind giving
I'll give
her a
Bonnie
heads
a
up.
shout. Not a problem whatsoever.
And I can
And,
talk I can easily talk to the west side. It's during the day especially. I could talk to the west about donating the hall to us. So if we want to do
Yeah.
that is the
I mean,
possibility as well.
It's only a couple of hours. We pick up
Yeah.
our trash and, leave
Yeah. And it
leave
won't
no
be a
trace.
problem. It won't be a
we're-
problem.
We're in and out.
I like the idea of speakers. All those topics are things I'd like to learn more of, just the ones you ticked off real quickly. So
Yeah, I think it'd give them another hook, another reason to come.
Or even like a bingo night.
You know what I'm
Anything.
getting also, Jay, is a lot of veterans' families that don't know about the grave marker. I've got 5 I put in this month. And I didn't know they had this grave marker. Or one was at the Forest Glade and was wondering why there wasn't a flag there for her father or her grandfather. And she said, well, I didn't know about that marker. And there's nothing on this headstone that says he was in the service. I said, well, let's get his DD 214 and the application's easy. They take it right down to the town clerk. The town clerk takes it from there. There's a $125 fee to put the footing in, the cement footing. And Dennis even said to me, have him bring it to the town clerk. I called the town clerk and she said, yes, absolutely. Just have him bring it to us. We'll sign off on it and send it on its way.
Yeah, I mean, generally the funeral director takes care of all of that, but there
Yeah.
are some that I've run into for, veterans from prior eras don't have it. And, I don't think a lot of them, at least the ones that I'm familiar with, there's no cement footing for the bronze marker. It's just in the ground,
Right, that's what my
Which-
arch is, right in the
which
ground.
poses another challenge because so many of them are buried. In Saugus last year, they had an Eagle Scout project where this young scout, teenager, his project was he recruited a ton of scouts to go in and unearth those bronze markers that were buried. Get them up out of the ground, put some earth underneath them, then reset them. And Dennis Fazio has been supportive of just about anything that we want to do. So
It's great.
I think they are doing the footing now, Jay. They are doing even for the bronze ones. That's
Yeah.
where the fee comes in.
That's
yeah,
good.
because I know my father doesn't have one, and ones that I've set, it's just sitting there. But that's good.
Yeah,
Cool. Okay.
you have it.
So let's, Christy, if you wouldn't mind, reaching out to the young lady at
Not
the
at all.
yacht club, then maybe we can have that on the September agenda. And,
Yep.
in the meantime, be kicking around some ideas for a speaker or, maybe out of the box in September, it's just the announcement that they're going to be happening. We intend to have speakers, maybe have some speakers lined up by the time we have the first social. Derek Robinson has sort of been skating for the last year and a half on coffee and donut donations, so we can reach out to him to see if
Absolutely.
he's,
Oh, he's on board.
no, he's always willing to give,
He's awesome.
to jump in there, no doubt about it. So we can do that. Okay, cool. Anything else?
I just want, go ahead.
Go ahead, Dave.
I was just wondering, in Wakefield, the abatement for real estate is $400. Is that correct?
Correct.
In Malden, it's 800.
Right.
Is there any way that can be, is that depending upon the amount of people in the town, I wonder? or-
No. Nope. You put an article together and it goes before town meeting.
Aha, okay.
Put that on your honey-do list.
Yeah, really, that's something, I mean, that's something we should look at down the road. Might
Yeah,
get more
'cause-
interest in our group,
'cause-
you know?
$800 is a lot. I've usually
is
seen
a lot.
400. I've seen 400 a lot, but 800 is a lot.
Well,
A lot.
you
I found out
know,
this morning.
with that in mind, at last year's town meeting, the town meeting voted to adopt two of the new articles from the Brave Act that gives folks whose homes are held in trust the ability to claim the veterans exemption. Prior to that, if your home was held in a trust, you could not get the property tax exemption.
Right.
Now you can. And Gold Star families, Gold Star parents are eligible for 100% tax exemption.
As our Gold Star wives.
Right. So that was adopted at town meeting. But I think a perfect article for the paper is go through chapter and verse about what the veterans exemptions that are available.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I didn't know until I had to go before Saugus town meeting to present on the 22 E and F with the new abatement exemptions. I always call them abatements. The state reimburses up to 51% of these exemptions. I thought it was just 100% hit to the town, but it's not. So the town gets some money back. So it's not 100% cost to the city or town. And Mr. Victor Santaniello is the assessor for Wakefield and Reading. You know, he helped me put together the articles for town meeting. So we can get the data from him. As I got data on how many people get the current exemptions, how much it costs, what the reimbursement for the state is. The one thing that you don't know is, you know, Marion can probably tell us how many Gold Star families there are in town.
To my knowledge, there are only now, I believe it's 3. That when
Okay.
I first joined, there were a few more, but there's been many that have passed
Yeah.
away.
So we know, we can tell what the exposure is there to the town. So for instance, these three homeowners, we know what their real estate taxes are. So we know what the hit would be. The one thing you don't know is how many homeowners might now be eligible for the exemption because they never have been able to get it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So you don't have any data on how many people will apply for it. Nobody will apply for it unless we tell them it exists.
And it's there, right?
Could be an article, right? In the
Yep.
Veterans Corner with eligibility requirements and all that.
Yep. Okay, cool.
Yeah, because I'll tell you, I've been a Gold Star wife for 24 years, and it wasn't until 5-6 years ago that I found out that I could have had 100% exemption on my taxes. Nobody told me, the Gold Star wives didn't tell me, and I just happened to find out from talking to other Gold Star wives in the area. So I went
Yeah.
down and talked to Victor directly, and who is, by the way, a veteran himself and very, very, very supportive of veterans on any level. And
No
I
doubt.
went down brought my paperwork down and said to him, I'm leaving this with you, Victor. You tell me whether I'm eligible or not, but this is what I was told. And I was. So, but people don't tell the Gold Star mothers, the Gold Star fathers, the Gold Star anything. A lot of them don't know what they can and cannot get because the information doesn't come to them readily enough, which isn't a good thing, but I think it's getting better, but it's amazing how when some people find out, it just alleviates so much stress financially.
Yeah,
Well,
it's,
too
and
bad it's
it's,
not retroactive too. If it was retroactive, you'd have a nice payday.
I
coming
would
in.
have been loving that, Dave.
I know. I put in for mine for being married. It was 8 years. It was $13,000 I would have gotten, but the VA said, well, you had 1 year to file for it, but it was in such fine print and there were like 4 pages I had to read to find it. And I
Yeah,
was just happy to get what I got. So,
me too.
I left
you know,
it.
so I think,
Me too.
that's, Marion, it certainly seems like an action item for the state leadership in the
Yeah.
Gold Star organizations to make sure that that information is passed down through the cities and towns across the state.
Yeah, we're
But
trying.
that's certainly something that this board can do locally.
Yeah, we're starting to work closely with the Gold Star mothers and the Gold Star wives are starting to work closely to try and get out as much information to Gold Star families as we get it, to get it out to them so that they, they're not waiting years to find these things out, especially some of the younger widows and stuff that really don't know what they're eligible for. And
Yeah.
so we're working together to try and get that done. But
Awesome. Anything else?
I want to just, I don't know if any of you have heard about it, Dave, maybe, I don't know. They're having a 50th anniversary of the Vietnam War period harbor cruise, all for Vietnam veterans on August 20th. What I was wondering, what I was curious about, I guess this is more to you, Dave and Jay, because I don't really know, on the books that I've been giving out, I wonder if that would be something that if we have a whole bunch of them, I'm not sure how many are going to be on this cruise. They emailed me because they wanted to get 5 Gold Star wives on there. They have 5 Gold Star mothers going on there, but it's for Vietnam veterans is what the cruise is. And they just do the harbor turnaround.
Is it out of Boston or Salem?
That's in Boston on the USS Constitution.
Wow. Wow. Mary, if you could forward that email to me so I can contact them, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'll forward for you Peter's email, because I thought, gee, if we have an abundance of books and there's something he might be interested in having to give out to the Vietnam veterans on board that cruise, I just thought it might be something. So I will send that to you. But
Who's running the cruise?
it's the Vietnam Vietnam War commemoration. It's Peter Aylward, Major General.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know
He's
him.
the director of
I met him. He's a great guy. They may have the books accessible to them out of Chelsea, Jay. And they may have them at the cruise. I'll find out.
Yeah, I just thought it might be a nice thing to have on the cruise if they didn't have them, but I didn't know. I didn't ask him about it, suggest it or anything, because I didn't know how, who handled that and what have you. So I thought between the two of you, one of you might know what it was, because it's just, it's a turnaround. I've been on it twice, so I got 5 of my other Gold Star wives to get to go that have never been on it. So it's really quite an experience, but this means something to them. They're all Vietnam era widows. So, but anyway, I will send that to you, Dave, and I'll let you guys take it from there, because I just didn't know how to handle it, but I thought it might be a nice gesture. Nice idea.
That's great. Awesome.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Now, speaking of Vietnam era veterans, the roll to DC is going to be happening in September of 2022. There's going to be 45 boat spaces for veterans and or caregivers. 15 are coming from Melrose, 15 each are coming from Melrose, Wakefield, and Saugus. We need to, the exact dates of departure haven't been set yet. It's either going to be September 11th or September 18th. But we'll start, I think the intent is to start recruiting for participants early next year. We'll be doing fundraising in the meantime. And these trips have been done before. It's kind of the last one that this gentleman that's been running it is going to do. And the people that I know that have gone on them, rave about it. And, we had a meeting today and, I cautioned, having done some of these bus tours for quote unquote aging veterans before, you run the risk of making a marathon and doing a lot instead of just doing a little well. And the complaint was always that, I wish we had spent more time at the wall, at World War, instead of hitting 6 memorials in one day, hit 3 and spend a little bit more time at each,
Yeah.
Instead of running around like crazy people with your hair on fire. So we're going to try to, I think, put together a more realistic itinerary. It maybe leave on a Sunday, come back on Wednesday, or come back on Thursday, depending on how things are looking. Staying on Andrews Air Force Base, it's well put together, but it's going to be for Vietnam era veterans, not limited to Vietnam boots on the ground veterans.
Right.
Just as the Vietnam 50th commemoration was not confined to boots on the ground veterans. It was opened, the Department of Defense eliminated the word era from the 50th anniversary commemoration. They don't talk about Vietnam boots on the ground and Vietnam era. You're Vietnam veterans.
Yeah.
And the pins that have been getting supplied during this commemoration say Vietnam War veteran. So this is some of the stuff that's been put together does say Vietnam era for this particular thing, but we're going to make sure that as we move forward, people know that it's for anybody who served during 65 to 75, whatever the official dates for the Vietnam War are. People that have been on these trips before will be put on a wait list. And if there's a boat space, they may be allowed to go, but if you have gone before, you will not be put on the active list unless there's a boat space. So more to follow on that. I'm going to be trying to do some fundraising in town. They're signing up banks and they've already gotten upwards of $20,000 from Wheelabrator, which is the incinerator thing over there on Route 107. General Electric is a major sponsor. So, we're going to try to get some money because they think it's going to cost about $1,000 per veteran to send them on this trip. So it's a pretty expensive endeavor.
Raytheon would be a good one to hit up, Jay. They were at the Vietnam Veterans event at Gillette Stadium about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And Tom Kennedy, the CEO, I can contact him through my brother-in-law. They're good friends. I'll find out if Raytheon wants to contribute to that.
Yeah, one of the challenges is when we're trying to dial this down a little bit. When you go global to Raytheon, like for instance, Wheelabrator is a major sponsor. They want to send people. You know what I mean? You bring Raytheon in, they're going to want to send people potentially. And there's a limited number of boat spaces, but you're always open for more money. So, Raytheon could send $5,000 with no strings attached. That's, relatively cheap money for them. So certainly if you want to try to do that, that would be awesome. And we
about a
can
letter-
certainly,
How
we
about a
can
letter
certainly
to the
supply
Kraft
some
family?
background. What's that?
How about a letter to the Kraft family? Mr. Kraft
Um,
is very, very supportive of the Vietnam era veterans as
Yeah.
especially.
Yeah.
Cummings Foundation too would be a good one.
Yeah, they have the grants.
Yeah.
A neighbor 2 houses down works for Cummings.
Mm.
So it's a good idea. I'll ask her about it because I think they just actually awarded those grants. So
You just get a check usually. Our boxing gym got one for their nonprofit,
yeah,
associated nonprofit.
yeah, I'll ask her about that when I see her. Thank you. Anything else for the good of the group?
Hey, I couple questions. Dave, I got a question for summer hours. Are you going to address those or,
My hours, Paul,
yeah, the VSO and summer hours here in Wakefield for your office?
same as usual, same business as usual, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 8 to 2. I
Okay,
might be a little more flexible once in a while, but that's about the timeline. I actually come in on Thursdays sometimes to fill in some extra hours if I need to. I get pulled out of the office sometimes.
no, I understand. I was just kind of curious. Now that you're there, now that you're here, it's a question that if we're taking off in the summer with a little bit of activity or light activity, just with the email, I was just wondering what your office would be doing. I also just want to make mention that the moving Vietnam wall is in and around Middlesex and Essex County, both this year and next year. And there'll be more information coming out, but that's something that we may want to begin to get
Yeah.
some detail on and share with the community.
Yeah, I know. I'll pull that together. We actually discussed that in a meeting today. I know it's down in Nahant.
Yep.
I think July 1 through 4. It's in Pepperell, and I think they're considering bringing it up to Newburyport too. But I'll find that out.
We could get it
'cause
at the Veterans Field Memorial, the day of the commemorative, when we put the signage in on everything. That would be sweet.
A lot of
No,
money.
you book
Yeah, I
those.
know.
You book that 2 years in advance.
Yeah.
It takes a while to do.
Yeah.
But one good point is that they're always looking for volunteers
Yeah.
to man. They generally have a tent where, I did it down at Gillette where people come in, ask you to locate a name, you look in your little database and you tell them it's on panel X, line Y, go from there. It's pretty cool. And the emotions run the absolute gamut. It's amazing.
I just an FYI to disclose, I am working with another town, Hamilton and Wenham, for next year. The possibility of bringing that up there.
Cool.
More to follow.
Put it on Patton's property.
Yes, that's the intent. I want to just kind of sum up on the names of that we read for Memorial Day. I think that is a service that this group should offer to the community. It doesn't necessarily have to be on Memorial Day. And it's something that can be offered to the schools if they want to do it in the school. And I'd be happy. I know most of us would be happy to take that in and guide students through that program if somebody wants to do that. It can be done at a school. It could be done at a corporate function. Okay. Just something to kind of keep in mind for the future. It's something that we did. It went well. And we need to kind of think about how to share that with the community.
Yeah, that's certainly a good idea, and I hope that we'll be back to what passes for normal in the next school year. Because I know during a normal school year, there are opportunities for members of this board to go to schools. You know, the Galvin has ceremonies used to have ceremonies at Memorial Day. We'd go in, the high school had one.
Yep.
We've gone into some of the elementary schools. I've gone to the Woodville a couple of times and read a book about veterans. Like some years ago, this board presented books to the elementary schools that talk about the veteran next door. It might be the barber, the firefighter, et cetera, et cetera. And we have gone in and read these books to the kids, and that's pretty cool.
The reading of the names may be part of the program that we want to do for the dedication at Veterans Field.
Yeah.
Just
You
a
know,
thought.
and, yeah. You know, and way back when the world was flat in the old Galvin, I did a speech in my blues on Memorial Day, for Memorial Day. Had a little bit of a hard time breathing, but we got through it. And, you know, at the time, all of those photos that are now in the display cases outside the new auditorium in the new Galvin were mounted up high on the walls along the auditorium in the old Galvin. And
Yeah, they're about
I
12
brought,
feet high. It was hard to
Yeah.
see them.
you know, you couldn't see them. They were damaged by fires in the past, et cetera, et cetera. So I talked about them. And I think that, as you mentioned, Paul, that's a perfect idea to, you know, in a speech, you know, at that type of an audience, pick a guy, pick Scott, pick Joe Bellavia,
Yeah.
pick Daniel Jones, pick John Cartwright, pick somebody and talk about them. Because, you know, maybe it's more appropriate for a high school class, because some of these guys were only 18, 19, 20 years old, not much older than high school students. And some of them probably didn't even graduate from high school. So, you know, like I mentioned earlier, you know, names and faces, they have a story. There's a story to tell there. And, you know, I know a lot of the elementary schools used to write articles about members of their families who were veterans, and they would read them on Veterans Day and assemblies and things like that. So, you know, I think as we're going into the school year, you know, we could certainly do more as we get back to normal. And now that I'm thinking about it, the Medal of Honor convention is in Boston in September.
That's a good one.
And a few years ago, we brought 2 Medal of Honor recipients out to Wakefield High School, and they spoke to an assembly at the high school. It was absolutely awesome. The kids were just awestruck. Working with Tommy Lyons here in town, they wanted to do the same thing, but the administration at Wakefield High School wasn't ready to commit because of COVID, et cetera, et cetera. We've got the birds, we can already approved. So, you know, it's highly likely that we're going to be bringing some recipients somewhere. So we need to circle back, and at the risk of speaking with them, you know, the preference would be to bring them back here to Wakefield. But, you know, I'm not sure whether the administration is ready to commit, and I need to circle back with Tommy anyhow. So it was pretty cool, to be sure.
Yep. No, that's all. Thank you.
Awesome. Anything else for the good of the group?
I just got Bonnie's new cell phone number. I just sent her a text message. As soon as I hear back, I'll update you.
Okay, sounds good. Nothing else. We'll adjourn the meeting. And, you know, once again, before we adjourn, I want to thank you all for your support over the last couple of weeks. We move forward. And maybe we'll have a cookout this summer, who knows? But thanks for everything and make a motion to adjourn.
Second the motion.
All in favor? Aye. All right, see y'all.
Aye.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye-bye.
Good
Bye,
meeting.
Jay.
Good
Bye,
meeting.
all.
Bye-bye.